Have you ever found yourself in a situation where you pulled a staff out of the classroom because they were eating in the classroom, and you had already spoken to the staff numerous times about eating in the classroom and just found yourself at all wits' end? Or you were that director that has spoken consistently and over time to the lead teacher about the proper way of engaging children in an activity, and it kept falling on deaf ears? Or were you the director that wanted to recognize that assistant teacher that came on time every single day, went above and beyond, showed enthusiasm in the classroom, but you felt just giving her a gift card when she did it was seen as sporadic or favoritism, and did not have a structural way to recognize the teacher for what she had done? Did you want to recognize the classroom because they had the highest level of parent participation? Parents came to the parent breakfast, to the parent meetings, to the parent-teacher conference, and you to find a way to acknowledge them and say thank you. But you were running around so busy with payroll that the opportunity was lost and you didn't know how to circle back to that again. If that was you, if you're always finding that you don't have enough time to recognize the individuals for the work that they do, or bring to their attention something that you don't want done in the classroom, then this episode is about that. It's about how to find place for staff evaluations and why staff evaluations matter. My name is Zuleika Hines. Welcome to Decoding the Childcare Business. I had the opportunity to work in corporate America before I launched my own program. And many of the things that I'm going to share with you today was learned working in corporate America. Having worked in Verizon for 7 years and then working for companies like IBM and American Express, I was able to learn about staff evaluations, staff appreciations, motivation, and take away things that I wanted to implement into my own school. But before we go any further, I would love to ask you to subscribe to the channel. If you're listening for the first time, welcome to Decoding the Childcare Business. I see you. I see that you are subscribing, that you're listening, and I want to thank you. I want to thank you for all of those who have been with me from the very beginning, taking your time, listening to my episodes, giving me feedback. I want to thank you for that. I will ask you to please share it with your friends and family, people that don't know about the childcare industry and would like to know more, because this information, the more everyone is informed, the better we're going to be in creating sustainable childcare programs all around our country. Whether you're in a group family, a family daycare, or a center-based program, this is for you. I built 4 childcare programs from the ground up, and I was able to exit out of them successfully. I want to help you become profitable in running, operating, and growing your own childcare business. My name is Zuleika Hines. Welcome. In today's conversation, we're going to talk about surviving staff evaluations in childcare. Because our time is limited, we are stretched to the max. We're sometimes covering the classroom, the front desk manager, the crossing guard. Sometimes we were fixing toilets that had to run. Sometimes we're soothing parents, helping them through a difficult transition, while at the same time managing our own personal life, childcare program, parents, and payroll. In this episode, we're going to talk about policies that protect the childcare program, and we're going to lead with courage because you are capable of creating policies that are not just paper in a book, but something that your team can champion around. Or disclaimer, the information provided in this presentation is for educational and informational purposes only. It does not constitute legal, financial, or professional advice. Every childcare business is unique and regulations vary by state and jurisdiction. Please consult with a qualified attorney, financial planner, or professional advisor regarding your specific business situation before implementing any new policies or contracts. Remember what I always say, an investment in knowledge pays the best interest. How do we handle staff review? Real talk. I learned how to do staff reviews. What really impressed me was American Express Blue Book value. And what impressed me was their 360 review process. It was the process where not only did I talk about my accomplishments during the time that I was there, during the period I was being evaluated, but my leaders and peers were also part of my own evaluation process. I felt this added a different perspective, added value. It created insight into areas where I felt I could grow, areas that they saw that I excelled that I may not have seen for myself. So when I put together Beyond Basic Learning, I said I'm going to create a 360 review process that all my staff can champion around. And what did that include? Well, for a childcare center, it included the lead teacher giving review on her assistant teacher, the program director or director of that particular site giving a review about that teacher, and then the final review was with me. In this way, everyone's input was added. We would discuss different components of the person's work and look at the person holistically to decide what did that mean for the business, for the childcare center, and how was that person performing in the role that they were provided. When you do a center evaluation, you are allowing everyone to have a voice because the cost of silence is great. If evaluation only happens when someone is troubled or the feedback is on a situation that is appears always talking about something that someone did wrong, it feels like an attack and rather than an opportunity for growth and correction. Without a structured review process, your best teachers feel unseen and struggling teachers feel unsupported and resentment starts brewing and it builds quickly while expectations aren't clear and voices aren't counted. A formal review process protects the director from claims of bias and gives staff a safe, documented space to be heard. And you protect your program. During the 360 review process, I outlined to the lead teachers, assistant teachers, and every personnel in the program what my expectations were. They already knew what I was measuring them by. It was not just the attendance, their punctuality, but also their engagement, their participation, and their involvement in the school. Their ability to attend staff trainings was also part of the evaluation, and anything that they went above and beyond, hence beyond basic learning. So all of these things were important in being able to provide a 360 review process. When a new staff came into the program, they knew we did staff reviews. But what was also good is that the teachers were already familiar with staff reviews. So they were able to help her acclimate to our culture and our processes, give her insight about how we did staff reviews and what that meant for the organization. We conducted formal evaluation annually and never surprised the staff with an impromptu, undocumented review. However, we did do informal observation in the classrooms, and they were aware that this was part of our culture. And informal observations when I come into the classroom unannounced, observe an activity for a particular period of time. I'm looking at the staff-to-child ratio, the way that activity is being implemented, how the lesson plan is being shared amongst the teachers, and the feedback of how the children and the teachers were engaging with one another. So informal and formal observations was part of our culture. We had written documentation. We used standardized outlines on what the review process was going to look like. We evaluated on staff performance, attendance, their awareness and knowledge of the lesson plan, and knowledge of cultural activities that were going to take place throughout the year that linked their children to those cultural activities. It was also important to understand when they went above and beyond. Activities that were considered above and beyond activities were activities such as attending additional training, being part of an organization like from 0 to 3 or the NAEYC. Going to school for your degree was also part of above and beyond. And so we looked at ways that teachers were also performing in the field as a way to add additional bonus and make the rest of the process more robust. It was a two-way feedback. So when I did informal and formal observations, I did meet with that teacher and that team, whoever I was observing, within 24 to 48 hours. I will write out my observation, meet with them, and then discuss ways that they could improve it, areas that they could implement, and what I found to be very successful in how they implemented the program. We did a performance plan. If an employee is struggling to provide a new staff with written information, or if they were struggling in the classroom implementing activities, we had a plan of action. There was times that I demoted a teacher from being a lead teacher to an assistant teacher. And it was because I had a staff review process in place, because I was able to articulate why I was demoting her to an assistant teacher as a way to give her more time to learn how to be a lead teacher under a person that is more experienced in that particular age group. The teacher received that, and then she stayed with me. She didn't leave me because she was demoted, even though everyone knew that she was no longer a lead teacher. I still let her be the second in command, but put another lead teacher to be responsible of the lesson plan and engaging with families. What that did is that teacher understand, have a role model, apply what she was learning, and 2 years later that she was ready to become a lead teacher again. And guess what? She was ready to become a lead teacher. And through her staff evaluation, we discussed the milestones that I needed to see. And within those 2 years, she accomplished those milestones. As a director, you cannot overlook staff evaluations. You cannot pass it off like, for I don't have time, maybe later. It is an integral part of running a program. It's what leaders do. You are a leader. You are looked up to. They're expecting you to give them feedback. What a better way to help align the expectation and policies with the school and then see it work itself in the program. That was one of the greatest satisfactions for me, is that not only were the policies there, but teachers actually worked them. They actually lived those policies. They shared them with new team members, and it reduced having to say everything over and over again. They were great at sharing what the policy, the expectation was of working at our school. And by doing that, they participated in staff trainings. I told them right in the beginning, we do staff trainings on Saturday once a month. Were they able to do it or not? And the reason why I did that is because we work from 7:30 to 7:30. Sometimes it was from 7 to 7. And staff training on Saturday once a month did more than just learn about a new topic, a new process. It actually created collegiality. It helped teachers bond. It created relationships. It helped strengthen new relationships. Some teachers didn't see each other from different classrooms because they worked different shifts. And by coming together on Saturday trainings, they were able to see each other, able to mix up the team. They worked in team building activities together. And that spilled over into the school. When they needed to ask a teacher for a day off or work extra hours, they already met the teacher. They already developed a rapport. And doing Saturday trainings one Saturday a month over a period of years really created strong friendships in the program. And that training was part of the staff evaluation because it was mandatory. And by teachers participating in the training, it was also a way to be seen, a way to get rapport, and it also fed the staff evaluation process at the end of the year. The staff evaluation process was also a merit process. It had a component where we discussed merit increase. I would look into the way that they performed and the criteria that I set forth. And based on that, we'll talk about what it meant to do a staff increase. Staff increase was also a condition of school enrollment. So when we look at the classroom and we see we have 80% or 90% retention, meaning parents are re-enrolling for the following year, that also spilled into how the teacher's increase was going to go. You understand? So the staff increase, the staff review process was all tied together. And it helped the teachers see and understand that a strong enrollment also went ahead and impacted their increases and their evaluation at the end of the year. Every staff member must receive a documented formal performance evaluation schedule intervals signed by both parties. And folks, now with ChatGPT and Manus and Gemini, there's no reason why you're not doing staff evaluation once a year. I had to do this by paperwork. I had to have matrix. When I did my staff evaluations that the teachers needed to complete, I printed them on resume paper. I had the logo. It was printed in color because I wanted the staff evaluation to look beautiful, to carry the weight of what it represented. So my presentation to them, when I gave them a staff evaluation, it was on a Beyond Basic Learning folder. I used resume paper. I did it in color. It was very ceremonial. An email was sent. The staff evaluations will be provided to you on this date and must be submitted on this date. And once I received them and I received their teachers' feedback, I then went ahead and created a matrix from that. And I scheduled time with every teacher to go over the staff evaluation uninterrupted. It's not just talking about putting together a staff evaluation. It is the whole process around the staff evaluation. We had a 360 review process. The documents had bond paper, resume paper on a folder. Teachers knew when to expect it. They knew when it was needed to be submitted back to me. And they knew that we would be scheduling a time to review. And I also coincided that with the contract and the renewal process, because by doing the contract and the renewal process, I knew how many parents were re-enrolling, what that meant for the classroom, what that meant for the school, how many slots I needed to fill. And then I knew my margins. But guess what? It's going to get even better for you because the Childcare intelligence system that I'm developing will help you calculate not only what your enrollment tuition is going to be on the following year based on who re-enroll again, but you'll be able to put in the percentage that you want to increase your staff salary by and see how that in turn impacts your revenue. So let's say you wanted to give a 5% increase. The Childcare intelligence system will allow you to put the 5% increase there, and it will immediately let you know after all of your expenses are paid and your new tuition rate based on what you have indicated, you'll be left with X amount of dollars. This way, you have an easier way to look at the information and immediately know the impact to your revenue. Isn't that fantastic? Don't forget to join beyondbasiclearning.com, the Childcare intelligence system, so you have access to this database when it comes out. But build a staff evaluation where every voice was counted. I did that in order to be able to help teachers understand why it's so important to have everyone's voices heard and look forward to it. Because like I shared with you, it protects the director and it protects the staff. So what can you do now? You can take action. You can start simple. Again, you have wonderful resources that I didn't have. You have ChatGPT, you have Gemini, you have AI. You can start simply by saying, I want to create a staff review process for my school for lead teachers and assistant teachers where they evaluate each other, but they can also evaluate themselves. And so you have to create a formal way of documenting a review process. You must schedule it. You create an outline using these tools that I just shared with you, and then you use that to create the wonderful staff review process where teachers are giving genuine feedback about themselves, their performance, and how the school sees them as well. I hope this information was helpful. I want to thank you for watching Decoding the Childcare Business. I want you to please don't forget to subscribe and share. I look forward to meeting you.